Ferrari and Ford are two of the most iconic names in the automotive industry. However, many people don't know that these two titans have a tangled history. Ferrari played an important role in the creation of one of Ford's most legendary cars. So, let's find out how Ferrari accidentally created the Ford GT. The story starts in 1962, when Ford sales were declining due to failed products like the Edsel and the growing success of GM and Chrysler's products. Henry Ford II, CEO and grandson of Henry Ford, was desperate to turn things around. Lee Iacocca, the general manager of Ford's division and other top executive, told him the answer was a sports car. However, Ford didn't make racing cars and had no plans to start. In 1963, Henry Ford II, also known as Hank the Deuce, proposed a buyout to Enzo Ferrari. He wanted to capitalize on Ferrari's racing success and prestige to bolster Ford's image. The offer was substantial, with Ford proposing to purchase Ferrari for $18 million, including taking over its assets and liabilities. Ford planned to use Ferrari's dominance in racing to enhance its brand and take a leadership position in motorsports. The negotiations progressed with Ford conducting a detailed audit of Ferrari's operations. Enzo Ferrari, a former racer who loved racing, wanted to focus on that side of the business without being bogged down in day-to-day management. He agreed to the deal, and it seemed like a done deal. However, it crumbled at the last moment. Enzo was passionate about his brand and fiercely protective of his racing team. He balked at the clause that would give Ford control over Ferrari's racing activities, which was a non-negotiable for Ferrari, who wanted to retain complete autonomy over his racing division. Enzo told the people from Ford that he would never sell under those terms. People say he also insulted Henry II by implying he wasn't as good as his grandfather, the real Henry Ford. To make things worse, Enzo sold a majority stake in Ferrari to another Italian car company, Fiat. Henry thought Enzo never really wanted to sell to Ford and had only talked to the company to get Fiat to raise the price. The plan worked, and Henry II looked like a fool because the deal was canceled at the last minute. This insult triggered a strong and personal reaction from Ford. Enzo's comments were perceived as a direct affront to Ford's leadership and the prestige of his company. In response, Henry IV was reported to be both infuriated and motivated. He famously vowed to take revenge by defeating Ferrari on the racetrack, particularly targeting the 24 Hours of Le Mans, where Ferrari had been dominant. This led to Ford's ambitious and determined effort to develop a car capable of outperforming Ferrari. Ford's chief engineer, Roy Lunn, came up with the concept of a two-seater sports car with a low-slung, shark-like body and a powerful V8 engine. Located between the axles, the design was 156 inches long and 40 inches high, leading it to be dubbed the GT40. The name GT40 has a specific and straightforward origin. It combines the term GT, which stands for Grand Touring, with the number 40, representing the car's height in inches. The GT designation was common in sports car nomenclature, including a vehicle designed for both high performance and long-distance driving. Ford's first step was to partner with British manufacturer Lola Cars. Eric Broadley, Lola's owner and chief designer, had developed the Lola MK6, which featured a mid-engine layout and utilized a Ford V8 engine. This collaboration formed the foundation for the GT40 Mark I. Ford established the Ford Advanced Vehicles, or FAV, in Slough, England, to spearhead the project with Broadley, Roy Lunn, and Joy Wire leading the development team. The initial testing phase involved extensive use of two Lola GTs to experiment with various components and configurations. Testing was conducted at several tracks, including brands Hatch, Goodwood, and Monza. Under the direction of experienced drivers like Bruce McLaren and Roy Salvadori, these tests helped fine-tune the vehicle's design and performance characteristics. Despite the advanced design and initial testing, the first GT40 prototype suffered from poor aerodynamics and mechanical reliability issues. During their debut race at the Nürburgring in 1964, the cars faced suspension failures. At the 24 Hours of Le Mans in the same year, all three GT40 entries failed to finish due to gearbox issues. The lackluster performance of the GT40 led to a shift in strategy. Ford brought in Carroll Shelby to take over the project. He was a renowned American automotive designer and former race car driver. Shelby's involvement marked a turning point for the GT40 program. His team at Shelby American worked on extensive modifications focusing on aerodynamics, weight reduction, and engine performance. They replaced the existing engines with more powerful ones used in the Shelby Cobras and made significant improvements to the suspension and chassis. In 1965, the Shelby-led Ford team at Le Mans drove a new version of the GT40 called the Mark II. It started strong against Ferrari, but only to have its cars forced out of the race by mechanical failures. It was a frustrating defeat, but in 1966, Ford fixed the bugs and came back with even better cars. The triumph of the Ford GT40 at the 1966 24 Hours of Le Mans marked a significant moment in automotive racing history, especially given the fierce rivalry between Ford and Ferrari. This race became legendary for Ford's 1-2-3 finish, but it was not without controversy and drama. Ford's extensive preparation for Le Mans included developing a more powerful 7.0-liter V8 engine and assembling a massive support team. Henry Ford II himself was present, emphasizing the importance of this race to Ford's reputation and competitive spirit. The company's determination was clear in its thorough preparation, including a development engine that simulated 48 hours of racing conditions and a substantial logistics operation that brought spare parts and additional cars to the event. During the race, Ken Miles was on track to achieve an unprecedented hat trick by winning Le Mans. He had already won the 24 Hours of Daytona and the 12 Hours of Sebring that year. However, in a bid for a perfect photo finish, Ford's team management ordered the leading GT40s to cross the finish line simultaneously. This decision inadvertently awarded the victory to Bruce McLaren and Chris Amon, as their car had started further back on the grid and technically covered a greater distance. This impressive finish cost Ken Miles a historic triple win, and it was further compounded by his tragic death later that year during a testing session for the new Ford J car. Despite the controversy, this historic victory ended Ferrari's 6-year winning streak at Le Mans. The GT40's success at Le Mans continued in the following years. 1967, the GT40 Mark IV secured another Le Mans victory, driven by Dan Gurney and AJ Foyt. In 1968 and 1969, the GT40 secured back-to-back wins, with drivers Pedro Rodriguez and Lucien Bianchi in 1968, and Jackie Ickx and Jackie Oliver in 1969. These victories not only marked a turning point in endurance racing, but also challenged the European stronghold. It represented American engineering prowess on an international stage. This success story was famously depicted in the film Ford v Ferrari, which brought the rivalry and the GT40's achievements to a broader audience. The GT40's racing achievements also had a positive influence on Ford's commercial image, helping to reposition the company as a producer of high-performance vehicles. The success of the GT40 inspired the development of the Ford GT, a modern supercar paying tribute to its legendary predecessor. The GT40's sleek design and powerful performance have made it an enduring symbol of automotive excellence. Its appearance in films, video games, and other media has further entrenched its status as a cultural icon. The car's aesthetic and engineering innovations continue to inspire automotive design and have led to subsequent models like the Ford GT. And that's how, in a surprising turn of events, Ferrari might have accidentally given Ford a push to create the awesome Ford GT.